But Mike, let's rewind a little bit to last Sunday before this whole Ray Rice situation truly exploded.
Who would have thought a story would trump the opening weekend of NFL?
Yeah,
that's how big and like it's just sad how the Ray Rice just trumped the opening weekend of the NFL. That's how bad of an act it was. That is completely everyone's talking about this story as they should because it's terrible, but it just trumped the opening weekend of the NFL.
Yep. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you, a lot of interesting things happened week one. What were a couple of things that really stuck out to you?
What stuck out to me was, I hate to say I told you so, Stanko, but there was a couple of I told you so moments in week one.
I believe I have a couple as well. So
you do.
Don't worry.
My first one is going to be look at the Tennessee Titans with their victory over the Chiefs.
Yes.
The Titans. I really believe that the Titans are a good football team, and they have a lot of assets that put together they can be a good football team, and they showed that against the Chiefs. Granted, no way did I think the Chiefs were going to lose to Tennessee at home, but that was definitely something to look at. And then the second one, it was a no-brainer from the last podcast. Even without Cam Newton, the Panthers were beating the Bucs, and they did.
All right, well, I have a couple told you so as well. First of all, that late Monday night game, which honestly may have been the best game of the week, or arguably most entertaining, the Cardinals defeating the Chargers. You picked the Chargers in that game, so told you so there. And also, I'm going to put you on the spot. Your lock of the week lost.
My lock of the week won. I had the Steelers. They won. They beat the Browns.
No, you had the Bears. I thought you had the Bears.
I had the Steelers.
Oh, my God. Yes, you are correct.
I had the Steelers.
Dirty, fucking, stinking correct person. Oh, you almost lost. You almost.
It was close. I was looking good at half. It was 27-3 at half, and Browns came all the way back. But my lock of the week won.
Yes, you did. I am wrong. I am mistaken. I
will say this though. So like I said, I was surprised at the Chiefs, but Stanko, what about your Patriots?
Okay.
This has to be brought up. A lot of people are talking about your Patriots as a Super Bowl pick. It is just one game, but how concerned are you with the loss in Miami?
Let me step on my soapbox, if you will, and prepare myself. This game, while it is only one game, and while we have struggled in Miami for a long time, frankly, the Patriots struggle in Miami, there are obvious concerns for me. The fact of the matter is our offensive line looked absolutely horrendous, and I think that it raises the importance of the loss of Logan Mankins in that trade, because that offensive line had no identity in the second half. Miami ran all over them. Brady was under pressure. And also, Brady just looked bad in the second half. He didn't look like he didn't even look like an okay quarterback. He looked bad. He looked Ryan Fitzpatrick-esque. He had so many bad overthrows. He had Edelman wide open on a flag route and overthrew him by 3 yards. I think it would have been like a 30-35-yard gain. Just overthrew him. It was awful. He had his calf injury. He didn't blame it, and I don't blame the calf injury either because Brady's on the injury report every single week. But our rush defense was awful. They averaged over 5 yards a carry, and this week we have to go against Adrian Peterson, the best running back in the game. We have to go up against them, against the Vikings, who look really damn good against St. Louis and that good St. Louis defense. They look really damn good. So I am worried. I officially am on the worried list. I am not panicked because it is only one game, but I am worried heading into week 2 because we are on the road against the best running back in football when Notron Moreno just absolutely torched us for the entire game. So there's my piece. I am worried, and I think this game with Minnesota is going to be very, very close. And I'm worried, Mike. There's worries in my voice.
And it was a divisional game, and not to mention the Bills and the Jets won as well this week. So all three teams in your Division One, except the Patriots. This got to be. I wonder when the last time the Patriots were in dead last, solely last in their division. I wonder when the last time that happened.
Yeah, I don't know, but I will say this: that the last time the Patriots lost opening day was 2003 against Drew Bledsoe and the Buffalo Bills, and that year the New England Patriots went on to go win the Super Bowl. So that is my sliver of hope.
And I would also like to go back to this Monday night game, which you so-called picked the Cardinals and won. The Chargers lost that game way, way more than the Cardinals won.
I could not agree with you more. The San Diego Chargers played awful.
I was more surprised. First of all, I was surprised at how low-scoring the game was, especially in the first half. Two pretty good offenses. It was a defensive struggle. Chargers up 17-6 in the fourth quarter. Have the ball. Cardinals have the ball in the fourth quarter. Right off the bat, they score. So it's 17-12. They don't get the two-point conversion. Rivers comes out. They dilly-dally. This, that, and the other thing happens. All of a sudden, the ball's on the 30-yard line. I'm like, Arizona, 30-yard line in field goal range. Kick a field goal will be an 8-point game.
Yep.
About 4 minutes to go. If you kick that field goal, I think it's likely the Chargers win that game.
Yeah.
And I don't even know whether he took his eyes off the ball or it slipped through his hand. Rivers just never ceases to amaze us, and the ball, he fumbles it. It goes all the way back outside of field goal range. It was third down, and it forced them to punt to give the ball back. And sure enough, Carson Palmer marched right down the field and they scored. But oh man, the Rivers did a lot of bad things in that fourth quarter. I was really happy. I mean, I didn't mind getting the pick wrong because, I mean, as anybody knows me, I hate Rivers, so it was really nice to watch. But I mean, that's a really, really bad loss for the Chargers.
Yeah, that loss is so disheartening, and now they need to. Now they are at home against Seattle. Seattle, who had extra time off because they play on the opening Thursday to prepare for San Diego. So I mean, I think San Diego's going to start 0-2, and in a really tough division, with a lot of teams going to be vying for that AFC wild card. That's not a good start for them at all. And listen, Phillip Rivers, that fumble that he had, that snap, he was doing so much at the line of scrimmage, adjusting. I'm obviously adjusting the offensive line protection and hot routes, whatever. Now I think he was just doing too much, and it cost him. So I mean, it's crazy, the pros and cons of a quarterback having all that control, and then he has too much, and it's a huge costly loss of yards. But I mean, I was happy because that game was so low scoring that I was able to pull out a huge fantasy W after being projected to so starting off my year correctly at 1-0 in our league with a 0.4 point victory over Matthew McGinnity. Very clutch W for the commissioner.
That's tough. That's some crooked stuff there. A 0.4 victory, that screams crooked.
Yes. Yes, it does scream crooked. Yes, it does. Yeah, it was an interesting week one. Week two is coming up. Obviously, we're not going to do all of our picks for week two in this podcast, but before we move on, Mike, we should pick tomorrow's game. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens in Thursday Night Football. CBS on the call with Jim Nantz and Phil Simms, their first Thursday night game. It's a rivalry. It's a division game. The Ravens lost a close one to the Bengals, and the Steelers won a close one against the Browns that they almost blew. But they were able to get the dub. So who do you see coming out on top here in this division matchup?
This is a really tough game. I really think it's a really tough game to pick. First of all, the game's in Baltimore. I understand that the Ravens have a lot going on this week, but you know what? They might be relieved that they're playing a football game finally on a Thursday. They probably lucked out that they're playing the Thursday night game, not the Sunday, because who knows what the story's going to be on Sunday with the story. But I think I can't not pick the Steelers, especially with Le'Veon Bell on the field still. He looked great. Him, Antonio Brown,
Roethlisberger, they all had a really, really good first half against the Browns. They just sat back way too early against the Browns and kind of let them kind of percolate a little bit in the second half. The Browns had a crazy no-huddle offense in the second half that the Steelers couldn't stop. But, I mean, I can't not pick the Steelers here. I think when on, I think the Steelers are the better team, and I think the Ravens are too inconsistent for me to pick them right now. So I think I'm playing it safe, almost picking the Steelers, because you don't know how the Ravens are going to be. You don't know how they're going to be able to come out against the Steelers. So I'm going to pick the Steelers for right now. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, I got the same thing. I got the Steelers. Listen, I think that to call this Ray Rice situation a distraction is one of the biggest understatements in recent sports history. I don't know how you can't be distracted, because every single question you're getting is not about the game you're playing. It's about the situation. And I mean, listen, that's honestly the biggest reason that I'm choosing the Steelers, because the Ravens are going to be so distracted. And it's a home game for Baltimore, and I'm really curious to see how the fans are, because they're the same fans that gave Ray Rice a standing ovation in training camp. I'm really curious to see how they'll react. Obviously, he's not going to be there, but if there are any Ray Rice chants that are started from those fans, I'm going to go ballistic watching the game if I even hear that on my TV set. But yeah, I'm going to go Steelers as well, 27-17.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be about it's like a 16-10 game. I don't think there's gonna be too much scoring going on here. But we'll see. I mean, I'm happy that the game's actually on regular TV. I'm happy CBS picked it up.
Yeah, because you don't have to deal with Mike Mayock.
Oh, how bad is he? But you know, it's good that CBS has picked it up. You're able to watch it like on any TV in the house. so it'll be good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see this game, because you kind of saw a tale of two halves of the Steelers against the Browns. A great offensive and defensive display in the first half, and then the second half was the complete opposite. Just bad defense, bad offense. So I really want to take a look at the Steelers here and see what kind of team they're going to be, because I still think they are still my favorite to win that division. But they do have their defense does have some glaring issues that out of all teams the Browns kind of picked apart in that second half last week. So I'm interested to see how the Steelers are going to come back and play against a pretty good squad in the Ravens.
Yeah, and you got a first-hand look at the Pittsburgh Steelers-Cleveland Browns game, because you were working that game at NBC Sports. Congratulations on the new gig. So you got to watch that one firsthand. So I just want to shout out to you.
I appreciate the plug. Yeah, I appreciate the plug. The first big day, yeah, I had the Steelers and the Browns. So yeah, I saw that firsthand. So that's probably why I'm a little more invested in it, just because I saw a lot. I watched that whole game and saw a lot of the press conference afterwards. So it's the Steelers are that's an exciting offense to watch. Antonio Brown is the truth. He is good. The catches he makes are insane. But but even just little 6-yard passes. They have a lot of explosive players on that Steelers team that make Big Ben look really good. On top of being really good. So Steelers are a fun team to watch, and I'm excited about the tomorrow night game.
Yeah, and before we move on to our Dozens of the Week, it should be known that it was also developing today. The NFL and the Players Association are coming to a new agreement with the HGH drug testing. I guess you could say agreements or something, which may affect the suspensions of Wes Welker, Orlando Scandrick, Josh Gordon, stuff like that. Frankly, there's not enough information out there that we could really talk about it, but it's developing. So everyone should keep an eye out for that as to when that gets passed or signed, and what the result is on everyone else's suspension. So I think that's definitely something to keep in mind moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out. And I wonder if the Ray Rice situation will kind of help out players like Josh Gordon and Wes Welker. Just only in the sense that, like, look at what this dude did, and then compare it. I don't know if comparing it is right, but in the NFL's eyes, they might, and kind of compare it to why Josh Gordon got suspended for a year and why Wes Welker is suspended for 4 games right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the way kind of the timing of this can benefit Josh Gordon and Wes Welker and those players. But, look, anytime for the Browns, anytime Josh Gordon get on the field would really benefit them. You know, if Wes Welker gets healthy, because he's not only suspended, I mean, he's hurt. So let's see if he can, if that'd be a blessing in disguise for him to come back. I'm sure Peyton wouldn't mind to have his best receiver, one of his best receivers, come back, especially towards the back end of the season when they're going to need him most. So that might be a big issue with some players. I mean, some of the coaches is that you know, Wes is going to play in some meaningful games.
Yeah. So
if the suspension is lifted, I don't think you're going to have to worry about the Browns playing in, you know, some big games towards the end of the season, because by the end of the season, you know, they'll have 10 losses. So I don't think in Josh Gordon's situation it's going to be too big of a deal. But even say Cleveland has surprises everybody and really has a good season, and then they bring back, you know, Josh Gordon, who was suspended for, you know, a certain amount of games and is able to can play a playoff game. You know, just the chance of that happening, I think coaches might have a problem with. But
yes.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yes, that is definitely something to look forward to, I guess you could say, because good players will be returning to the field, but just interesting more, I think, for how the NFL will address the situation.